I think about a third of us, maybe a little bit more than a third, we do a pretty good job, and some people do an exceptional job raising their children. But let's face it, look at the boys, look at the men we've produced. We really haven't done a good job. And most of the men, like I have a daughter, you have a daughter. Who's gonna marry our daughter? I love asking people that question because we're not producing really good black men. If our daughters want to marry black men, we're not producing wonderful, wholesome black men to marry, to be good, wonderful fathers. Look at these cats out there. You want your daughter to marry these boys out here?
No. No, I didn't find, she even asked me that, and my daughter's a researcher, I guess she gets that from me and her father. She's finding all these studies or surveys about how many black men marry black women, how many black women marry black men. Black women are the most loyal. Only maybe 8% of black women marry other than a black man. But it's something like 23% of black men will marry other than a black woman if they're going to get married. So that's another reason why she brought up, well, where can I live? And all I could come up with is somewhere other than the United States. Even the writers and producers, the black writers and directors of the Oscar Award winning movie 12 Years a Slave, they were African or black UK residents, but all of them were married to white women. From the director to the writer to the lead actor, married something other than a black woman.
We know black women have a high.
So I don't know who my daughter's gonna marry.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying. We're not.
She doesn't know either. And I don't have a good.
We at Truly Park here. Where we at? 83rd and I don't know.
90th and King Drive.
90th and in King Drive. Okay, well, okay. We're out here. We're not, as a group of people, we're not thinking about what type of people we're going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. We're really not thinking about that. We'll be around, but we could be just, and you can make an argument, we are already irrelevant. And it really comes down to family. We're not talking about family, whether it's a nuclear family or the village. We're not talking about, because let's face it, a lot of us are never going to get married. We're going to have 4 or 5 different baby daddies and baby mamas and all that kind of stuff. But how do we raise these children in that context? We're not talking about this. We're not discussing it.
Well, some of this is a product of what you're seeing, and what we're experiencing is a product of being oversold the bad story. There's a documentary called, I think it's called Bamboozled, how all of the statistics do report, and the studies find all of these very negative things to say about us, and we wind up repeating them because we haven't actually claimed what we are. And so, oh no, it's not bamboozled, it's hoodwinked.
Yeah, well, Dr. Boyce Watkins and a few other people, yeah, I know, they've done this, yeah.
So that's where I have to go. I have to say that. It's like I'm going to internalize what I'm experiencing. I'm not going to oversell and overbelieve.
Well, we can't be delusional because Dr. Boyce Watkins is right. I get all of that. But when it comes to you and I having daughters, if we want our daughters to marry a brother, and if you want to nearly to a brother from America, it's slim pickings. That's what I'm trying to get at. So you do all the statistics you want. Because most of us, face it, we're raising, for a lot of good reasons and bad, we're raising mama's boys, weak men, men who want to marry outside the race. That's what kind of men we're raising.
True.
And I know we bamboozled or whatnot, or we've been tricked by, or hoodwinked by the popular culture with all the negative stereotypes they promote on us. But the reality is, in Chicago, most of our black boys drop out of high school, at least 50%. You know what I'm saying? Let's face it.
Well, the ones I know, like I said, of my circle of 7 other friends who have boys, they're doing extra well. So my circle is getting smaller and smaller. Right. But
and a lot of those brothers, though, you know, not all of them, who do well in school, they marry outside the race.
I don't believe they're gonna.
Some of them will. Well, you said 23%.
23%.
That's kind of high.
It's kind of high. It's like 1 out of every 4 almost.
Right. When the sister's only doing about 8.
I understand.
It's a mismatch.
Yes, it is. And so that's why when my daughter asked me where can she go, I didn't say anywhere in the United States.
We started this conversation on pop culture, hip hop culture, And I think that we don't really, we need people like professors like yourself, doctors like yourself, like I said, to analyze, contextualize, and deconstruct this stuff, to break it down to people, to common folks level, to understand how this culture is impacting us and the results therein. That's where you come in.
Or part of how to contextualize and manage and filter the culture, it does require some attention, actual attention, not just asking them what they like. I'm talking about I'm talking about children. Don't just ask them what they like, this is what your friend's doing. Parents have to stand up and filter and be on duty. Be on duty.
But you have to say, because like I said, I met a bunch of rappers back in the day before iTunes changed the music business. And some of them are real hardcore gangbangers, whatever. And some of them were middle class kids, two parents raised in the suburbs, but they want to put on this persona. Dude, we have to tell folks, man, there's a thin line between reality and fantasy, and we got to teach our children the difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. So stay on guard. Not necessarily on guard, but stay on post. Paying attention to what the history is on their tablet. For example, what have they been listening to? And make sure you have actual conversations, not just, I told you to do this, make sure you do that. Have actual conversations where you're listening and then offering actual context and feedback.
I'm almost done, Dr. Muhammad. I got to talk. We know about the boys, not all boys, but some of our young men. They like to wear their pants with the underwear showing, right? The sagging pants, whatever, right? We've been through that discussion. But the sisters, once it get warm, like in places like Chicago, these girls are butt naked. I go to the grocery store and see all kind of underwear. It's unbelievable. So, whether, especially for you have your daughter's younger than mine. Do the black women really tell these young girls, their daughters and nieces and whatever, and grandchildren, this is how you dress in public? Don't be showing your booty. Don't be showing your breast. What I'm saying, look, you know how it is.
I do know how it is. So
people, it's hot, Mark. I want to be comfortable.
There's all kinds of ways to be comfortable. I mean, I come from knowing how to sew and knowing how to understand what my actual body is doing and how to be comfortable. There are ways to be comfortable and not promote a way to stop traffic because we're showing so much. So that takes owning that. And because you get that kind of attention doesn't mean that's good for you. And so I remind my daughter of that.
But don't young ladies know, teenage girls and even older girls, that they know that you don't have to show your body to be sexy and appealing. You really don't.
They know. I can't speak on what they know.
But I'm a man. You don't have to be naked to be appealing. You really don't.
I agree. And I say that to my daughter. That's the only one I have direct influence on. I see that in my friends, which is about 7 or 8 of my sisters. So my circle of actual influence is kind of small. Until I get more actively involved in building this website I'm working on.
And
I just started on it yesterday.
Well, we're gonna promote it when it comes out. But didn't a lot of these sisters know that a lot of girls, I think it's like one in 3 are molested by the time they're 18. Girls are molested in some manner. It's usually by other teenage boys, but your little girl is gonna be molested by the baby's by the mama's boyfriend, all this foolishness.
And babysitter.
Yeah, and babysitters. Do they understand when you gotta really protect your girls, especially? Do they know that?
Yeah, I believe the women that I know raising girls are aware of making sure that you are protecting and always staying on guard. Who is this? What are you doing? Make sure you're here at a time, and I want to know and supervise what kind of interaction is happening. So even if this is supposed to be your teacher or your coach, make sure I'm aware of who's there. And one thing I told my daughter, I told her this about 5 years ago, never be alone in a room with any boy, any male, ever.
I don't care he the pastor or the church. I don't care school teacher. I don't care who it is. Don't underestimate any man. Any young boy.
Yep.
Do parents, women actually, I'm a man, so I understand. You got to protect these daughters. And so a lot of our boys and our girls, they've been molested and they do poorly in school. And you wonder why they're doing poorly in school, because they've been molested, boys and girls.
True.
By trusted individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I'm getting ready to send my daughter back to public school because she wants to have an 8th grade graduation. But I'm going to remind her of what I told her back when she was first going to a public school. Well, first when I was sent into school, period. Never be alone, ever, with any male, young or old. Never be alone. I don't care if they say, well, just wait with me right here. Don't. Go to where the group is. Stay with the group.
That's even in high school and in college. I mean, you have college rapes.
Yep.
We know what goes on in high school. And I hear about, see, I'm so square, I don't have a smartphone, but I hear even black kids, I thought it was just a suburban thing about sexting. Oh, I heard the black kids in the city do the sexting. I'm not hip to all of that.
Yeah,
Sexting.
so that's again coming back to paying attention to what your children are doing with these devices. They're supposed to be used just to keep in touch with you, or just to email, or pay attention to what other media is producing. But all this extra activity, parents need to pay attention. Look at your device. Look at your children's device. Follow the history and make sure you ask them about what's going on.
Dr.
So
Muhammad, go ahead.
Not hovering, but making them responsible for what they do with the devices. And by they, I mean the young children, specifically because I'm talking about girls. Make sure you know how they're understanding the media, how they're understanding this kind of communication.
Dr. Muhammad, before I go, I got to ask you, because you have a daughter and she's going in the 8th grade, and I want parents to really think about college or whatever post-secondary education they want their children, boy or girl.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it, when you have an 8th grader, isn't it the time to talk about college or whatever post-secondary education they're trying to go to before they go to high school?
Yeah, that's why we've been talking about, my daughter and I have been talking about what she's been asking me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Right.
I said, well, keep paying attention to what information you're supposed to be getting from school and from the homeschool curriculum, and keep doing stuff that you enjoy. Now, she is a visual artist. She draws, she writes wonderfully, and she's good at science and math. So I said, stay focused on what you like, and give yourself until you're about 18. Something's going to pick up.
You'll figure it out. But high school, you're gonna go through the process next year, or very soon, even this year, about picking a high school.
Well, thankfully, if she gets chosen in this lottery, her name gets chosen, this school is going to
goes into high school.
Yeah,
you go from 8th grade into the high school.
So
you don't have to worry about that. But picking a high school is very, very important.
Yes, it is.
And then it's just like, and the same thing with picking a college, whatever post-secondary education you go to. I don't care if whatever school you go to, high school, college, picking that choice is very, very, it puts your life in so many different directions, good or bad.
Well, what I reminded my daughter, and what I'm still learning myself, is not necessarily what degrees you get. It's what you're able to do with it for yourself as a way to make a living and live comfortably. Not necessarily making a whole lot of money, or if you do make a whole lot of money once, think about what you're going to do with it once you live past this money. I mean, this money might come in all of a sudden in 3 years. Then what? So think forward once you get involved in what you like doing, where your passion is.
Dr. Muhammad, you're a wonderful mother. We need more wonderful mother. We need to do parenting. We need to do a parenting class. We need to do a parenting class. That's what we need to do, right? Whole parenting university.
Yeah, I have a clip I'm gonna upload on my website. I talked with my older brother, who's a psychologist, and we talked about parenting.
We gotta talk about this parenting thing. It's very serious. Dr. Muhammad, you wonderful. We love you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll do this sometime this year. It won't be in 2015.
Oh, we halfway through.